So that finishes chapter 5. So on to chapter 6 of my horror fantasy novel Darkness Within, or at least what I consider to be horror fantasy. Sit with me a spell. Brandon handed Jesse the blotter of acid, a tiny piece of square paper about the size of an aspirin, with a design on its face. Jesse looked at it with curiosity lining his features. Is that a profile of Skippity-Doo, or am I already tripping? Skippity-dippity-doo, Jason crowed. That's the image of Skippity-Doo, Brandon affirmed. The hits are EMT, and they are called Skippity snacks. Really? How quaint. Yeah, Jason said. Have you ever noticed how tweaked out Skippity and Rags are? You say it's because they drop acid? Yeah. Well, no, we think it's because they're high on dope all the time, which is why they're always so paranoid. Gee, and all this time I thought it was because they had a low tolerance to spooks. Ah, come on, they have to know by now, after all these years, there's going to be someone in a mask. It always is. So you think they're high on dope all the time? Yeah. But the kicker is the Skippity snacks. That's another question entirely, and Rags munches them too. Gotta be something in those snacks. Just take the hit and stick it under your tongue, Brandon interrupted. Let it slowly dissolve. Jesse, with slight hesitation, did as he was instructed, not sure what to expect. No sooner was the blotter under his tongue than someone came up behind him, covering his eyes. The hands were small and soft and had the slightest aroma of hand lotion in spite of their exposure to the pond. Jesse could feel the damp body pressing up against his back, curvaceous breasts pushed into him. Jesse, however, didn't register these elements immediately, and he was startled so intensely that he almost spit out the hit and came close to peeing himself. Guess who? A young woman's voice declared. Jesse was without a voice, so the other two young men spoke for him. Damn, girl, you're looking fucking hot today. Good enough to eat. Promise? The female voice challenged. Lanny then took her hands away from Jesse's eyes. First she pinched him, then she slapped him on the right buttock. It's me, sweet cheeks. Certainly is, Brandon admitted, cracking a sideways smile. Where have you been doing your shopping for swimwear? Frederick's? How'd you guess? Lanny countered with a wicked smile. Then she surveyed the trio, even as Jesse was still regaining his composure. With a mischievous glint in her blue eyes, she said, What have you boys been doing away from the side of the world? Dropping acid, Jason said before anyone could say another word. Really? Lanny sounded excited. This at once surprised Jesse. Then, just as quickly, he wasn't surprised at all. Not at all. He knew Lanny liked to party, and would do so just as easily as she would drop her top for kicks. It was relatively obvious to him that Lanny dropped acid during her expeditions, maybe even a little EMT, whatever the hell it was. Furthermore, it sounded like Lanny had enjoyed the experience. Do you have a hit for this bodacious babe? Lanny wanted to know. Sure, Brandon said with a confident smile. He was checking out Lanny's form in her swimwear, which didn't leave much to the imagination. The top of the bikini pushed her ample breasts together, showing a fine cleavage, while exposing the curves and impressions of her nipples, which showed prominently. When Brandon regained his senses under Lanny's winning smile, he handed her a blotter. Did you take a hit, sweet cheeks? It's his first time, Brandon answered in Jesse's stead. Ooh, first time, Lanny arched an eyebrow. In that case, it wouldn't be safe to let you out of my sight. You won't let me do anything stupid, will you? Jesse said, looking at Lanny's tempting cleavage. Oh, no, baby, I'm going to take good care of you. And then, if it's all right with you, I'm going to fuck your brains out. How does that sound? She smiled brightly at him. Jason and Brandon looked at one another sheepishly, Jesse was finding it difficult to look away from Lanny's cleavage and the exposed curves of her breasts. "Like what you see?" Lanny said suggestively. Jesse was hardly aware that he nodded his head or that the colors around him were growing brighter, more crisp, setting Lanny's swimwear aglow. It was at that moment that he thought that he had seen a face in the trees from the corner of his eye. Not a human face per se, but a countenance made out of leaves and branches. He turned and studied the area briefly, then was startled to see more botanical visages. Guys," Jesse said finally, "I'm seeing faces in the trees." "Tree spirits!" Jason squawked, then cackled, finishing by clapping his hands together for applause. The grotto was a natural vault, a rock hollow behind the waterfall, with a built-in jacuzzi to the far left of the vault. Around the hot tub was a 10 by 20 stone-covered area that spun into fiberglass terrain of stalagmites and stalactites that made up the walls, floor, and ceiling of the grotto. Queen was singing "Play the Game" through the speakers inserted into the fiberglass terrain. In some areas Owen had lined it with brick, the edge of it that faced the waterfall. It was a place most commonly used for making out by the young men and women that came to the cabin, a romantic little place. "I'd like to finish what I've started," Lanny told Jessie with a sly smile. "Come on, I'll race you." She would beat him, of course, because although Jessie was physically fit, Lanny had been on the swim team her sophomore year of high school, and she always prided herself in keeping up her strength, including 200-plus days a year spent at the gym. Jason and Brandon were already in the grotto examining the far wall and observing that there was some kind of inscription in the fiberglass stone. "I am trippin'." Lanny came splashing around the waterfall. She hoisted herself up on the lip of the grotto. "Hey guys," she addressed the two young men with little surprise in her voice. "What are you up to?" They both started at Lanny's abrupt voice and appearance, but they recovered their composure quickly. "Hey, Lanny, come over here and take a look at this." Lanny got to her feet. "Look at what?" She walked over to where the two friends gathered at the wall. They were scrutinizing it, while her bare feet slapped against the smooth floor of the grotto and came up behind them. For a moment the hot tub was forgotten. "Do you see this?" Brandon asked. "Or am I just tripping?" "Hey, dude, I see it too," Jason affirmed. "See what?" came Lanny's reply. Then she too saw it. Characters carved into the wall, burning, as it were, with small colorful flames, not to be outdone by the small company of thin and lambently glowing serpents that writhed through the words. Gra, de, tria, sera, vulta. "Do you see it?" Brandon insisted. "I see it," Lanny told him. Her eyes peered at it in wonder. "But what does it mean?" Jessie showed up about this time and joined the club. The longer the four looked at the burning words, the more entranced they became to them. "Tell me that this is a hallucination," Jason muttered. Jessie looked at it, didn't agree. He put his hand up to the flaming characters and felt that they had a warmth to the fire dancing and rolling off the characters. "This is wild," he admitted. "No, wait. It can't be a hallucination because we're all seeing the same thing," Jason said pointedly. Jessie shrugged. "Joint hallucination?" he said. "From my experience, people don't have joint hallucinations." "And that's what disturbs me," Jessie replied a bit cryptically. "We are seeing the same thing." "The words are like gibberish," Brandon said. "Could they mean something?" Jessie studied the inscription on the wall, trying to make it say something. "No, dark. It's dark. I Think? Dark? Try something. Dark. Dark rat? Dark art? Try... No. Did you say something, dude? Brown inquired of Jesse. It is art. Yeah, it looks artistic. No, it's what, dude? The art. The art? What the fuck are you talking about? Lanny gave Brandon an admonishing shove. Will you knock it off? Can't you see he's trying to figure this thing out? A jock figure this thing out? That'll be the day. Fear. Well, it's not an anagram, Jesse said. It looks like some of the words are backwards. Brandon and Jason both looked at the jock, then they both studied the inscription again. So, what does he Gatiov mean? As crazy as it sounds, I think you pretty much nailed it. Nailed what? This isn't the way I like to trip. Gate of... something. Gate of... Fear the dark. Get out of town. It doesn't say that. It says Aries feet. What the fuck? Oh, I'm tripping balls because now the words are bleeding and blurring and shit. Chill out, Jason, Jesse told him. I see it too. The inscription is changing. Characters rippled and faded and melded together before the quartet. They seemed to go out of focus, then return rearticulated as clear as before, but with a different inscription. Okay, so now what the hell is this? Jason wanted to know. I think it's Spanish, Lanny said. What? You gotta be kidding. I mean, I'm no Spanish major, but that's not like any Spanish that I've ever seen. You have to look for the words, find them. But I think it's Spanish. I wish Katsumi were here. She'd be able to help us with it. Are we even sure that we're all seeing the same thing anymore? Jason's right, Jesse said admittedly. This was suddenly making him feel very uncomfortable. This is too weird. I think we ought to just leave it alone. But it might mean something, Lanny pointed out. Yeah, but I can't figure it out. Jesse started to feel a little dizzy looking at the burning inscription. Andrada. Look, I'm tripping. I'm not even sure what I meant 2 minutes ago. Lanny looked at him. Do you still want to fuck me? Jason made a face. Sure, of course, but you knew what you meant, Lanny said matter-of-factly. Leave it to the slut bunny to make everything clear for you, Jason commented. Don't call me a slut, Lanny said to Jason. I haven't asked you to fuck me yet. Damn. Brandon brayed with laughter. Zoinkers! And don't even start with that zoinkers shit. And then Lanny saw it. Chapter 7. In the upper corner of her right eye, Lanny saw something, glowing, like an emerald on fire. She tried to blink it away. It was, however, persistent and remained constant. She saw then, somewhere in the distance, beyond a wavering veil of fog, burning at the top of a bizarrely designed metal pedestal of some kind, a green jewel floating perhaps 20 yards beyond the wall. Chapter 8. Obscuro. Lanny wondered if the others saw it. They did. What the hell is that? Brown voiced in awe. It's weird. Lanny moved to put her hand on the surface of the wall. Her hand passed through it. Chapter 9. Brown exclaimed, No, I am not seeing this. I don't care how badly I'm tripping. Believe it, Jessie said in wonder, because I think that we're all seeing it. On the other hand, Lanny was feeling it, or wasn't feeling it, as the case might be. This set up involuntary tremors concerning the reality of the situation, which in turn startled her so badly she slipped and fell through the wall. Ow! My knee! God damn it! Pain shot through Lanny's left leg, pinpointing on her knee in a white flare of light she could see behind her closed eyes. The sensation that followed led her to believe that she had sprained her knee on the rock floor on the other side of the wall. She would learn in time that she had not in fact sprained her knee, merely came very close to doing so. In spite of that fact, the pain was intense enough to make her nauseous, and then she saw pinpricks of light flashing momentarily. She developed a headache almost immediately. There followed then a splash of fireworks and kaleidoscopes in her mind's eye as the drugs she took kicked in and helped to graciously alleviate most of the pain. Lanny! Jessie called out in sudden fear. Are you all right? There came no answer. Lanny rolled around and rocked back and forth, grabbing her knee with both hands, gritting her teeth. Jessie became badly frightened. The clarity and acoustics between him and Lanny was obscured. A hazy fog seemed to move intermittently before him. Beyond the wall, he stepped through the veil. He was suddenly in another world. It was a vast, fiery green illuminating cavernous realm of protruding stalactites and towering stalagmites, where the ceiling could not be placed in some areas of darkness, and where a multitude of bioluminescent lichens glistened on the surrounding walls. It was strangely beautiful in its presentation, or perhaps it was the chemicals in Jessie's brain that made it seem so. It appeared as ancient as it was alien, and a haunting aura in its quintessence. Jessie saw stone shelves to either side of him, built into the walls, climbing toward the darkness of the cavern. Figures occupied the shelves in inert forms, with arms crossed before them, imitating sleep or death. He found Lanny still holding her knee, lying on her side, between himself and the pedestal of green fire. She smiled weakly at his appearance. Are you all right? He asked again. Lanny looked at him, an embarrassing expression lighting her features. I'll live, she said weakly. Hurts like hell, though. The EMT helps. Who would have thought? Slowly, Lanny sat up. Holy shit, she said just above a whisper. Holy hell! She looked all about her, saw her surroundings in an instant. She almost fainted. She mused. I think we may be fucked. She found herself in an impossible environment. She found she was in a very large cavern. Holy hell! With stalactites and stalagmites. The ceiling lost to darkness and made everything seem surreal. So unreal. Lanny felt a sensation of vertigo, almost seemed intoxicating. Blame it on the EMT. But you can't blame it on the EMT. There were a dozen or more shelves of stone to either side of Lanny and Jessie. Oh my, how the fuck, am I tripping, or is this the real deal? Jessie had to take a knee. No, he had to take 2 knees. He was suddenly out of breath, as if he had just run the 50-yard dash. Still, that didn't stop him from seeing the light sources in the large cavern, and especially noticed the braziers' illumination, throwing dancing shadows everywhere. The brazier burned with flames of yellow-green and revealed the cavern and its enormity. This did little to help Jessie come to terms with the reality of it. If not for it, there would be no light in the cavern. In granted ghost-like reality, it was 50 feet from where Jason knelt. Holy shit, Jason said at last, still trying to get his bearing. It was a mean deal trying to wrap his head around where he was while tripping on EMT. Am I dreaming? Is this a hallucination? Or if it's a hallucination, Lanny replied, then we're having the same one. Big-ass cave with that, she pointed toward the fiery brazier, flaming thingy there. Oh, and those cadavers on the stone shelves. Wait, Jessie did a double take. The who on the what? Dead people on the... I know what cadavers are, Jessie said, but what are... You know what? Just never mind. We can't be having the same hallucination. At least, I don't think we can, Lanny said uncertainly. I know that I've never heard of it before, and if this isn't a hallucination, we're in one hell of a pretty fuck show. Jessie slowly got back to his feet. He brushed his hand through his hair, slowly shaking his head. He sighed, then said, This is, wow. This is otherworldly. Walking through a wall and ending up in a dream cavern? What the hell was going on? There needs to be a logical explanation for this, Jessie said. I mean, looking at the science of the situation, we will realize that we're in the ultimate fuck show. Explanation? Possibly. Reasonable? Doubtful. Lanny looked up toward the ceiling. I deciphered 3 of the words in the inscription before I fell through the wall. What are the words? Jessie found himself asking, looking around him and taking in the dreamlike quality of the cavern. Entrada, Temor, and Obscuro. And what do they mean? Entrada means entrance, entry, or gate. Temor means dread or suspicion, while Obscuro means dark or dim. Scary dark gate? Jessie queried. Gate of dark dread? Holy hell, man! Jason exclaimed as he stepped through the veil. What's this all about? He added, looking at his surroundings. Whoa! Brandon shouted. This is intense. This acid is fucking awesome. Having both taken 3 hits, Jason and Brandon were quick to categorize this event as one doozy of a hallucination. Furthermore, it was easier to just go along for the ride rather than argue that it was anything other than a hallucination. They were peaked and tweaked. They were triz-nipping, over the rainbow and truly gone fishing. Lanny therefore thought it was her duty to face the facts, no matter how unbelievable they might be. Shut up, guys, and listen. We are in one serious motherfucker of a shit show. Lanny was having a time with her head, trying to discern between what was real and what was unreal. Her drug-induced brain was suggesting one reality, while her intuition argued with it. She was convinced that she was in the embrace of a powerful hallucinogen which influenced her primary thought process and which probably wouldn't wear off for another 5 hours or so. But she also was swayed to believe her inner feelings, which told her that she was in a motherfucker of a cavern. Stone walls, stalactites, stalagmites climbed all around her. They appeared ancient, vanishing into a dark vertical abyss. The green glimmering light from the brazier could not illuminate. Forms on the shelves, on the other hand, were illuminated, and the glow of the fiery brilliance made them appear sickly. Whoa! Jason exclaimed. Dead dudes! What's up with that? The 2 buds seemed to skip over to the nearest shelf. It was about 6 feet in length and was raised from the ground by about 4 feet. Their eyes widened as they gazed at the figure lying on the slab of rock. What they saw there would have ordinarily filled them with repugnance. Instead, they were fascinated. The creature was humanoid, but far from human. Its head was bulbous in a lateral sense, while its skin was like tallow and the coloration was that of egg white amidst the skinless countenance that was red and black. The thing had a maw that was open and splayed and somehow crushed or collapsed, filled with needle-like teeth and upper and lower fangs, where a barbed tongue lay across. But the most horrific thing about the figures was that they were void of skin, displaying the inner workings of tissue where flesh should be. Normally the creature would appear vile and monstrous in the bud's eyes, with a gaunt form not lacking of muscle and talons almost 8 inches in length. Hoo-hoo, gnarly! Get away from there, Lanny demanded. Christ, will you two knock it the fuck off? We're in some serious shit here. Chill out, girl, Jason implied. This ain't real. It's all a mind fuck from the EMT. These dead guys don't even look human. This can't be happening, Brannon said calmly. It's impossible. Really? Lanny reached over and picked up a small stone from the ground. She tossed it at Jason, and it lightly bounced off the front of his head. Ow! Fuck! What was that for? What was what for? Lanny replied, looking innocent. You threw a rock at me. I did not. You said it yourself. This ain't real. Then neither was the rock. It was all in your hallucinating fucking mind. Or would you like to dispute the issue? Girl, you're losing it. You've already lost it, Lanny declared. I'm trying to get a hold of a hairy situation, and I'm trying to do it while frying on acid. That's no walk in the park, and god damn it, you're not helping. Chapter 10. Lanny said, Now then, I understand that we've all taken a superb hallucinogen, but I'm telling you that what is going on around you, around us, is real. Somehow, in some impossibly bizarre way, we have stepped into an alternate reality. How do you know? Jason challenged. I mean, how do you know this is not a hallucination? Aside from the bump on your head? Turn around and look behind you. Jason did as he was told. Yeah? You see anything strange? Here, let me help you. You can no longer see the grotto, can you? Admittedly, Jason could not see the impasse. Instead, he saw a solid wall, one that had faces swimming about it, reminding him of the scene from Pink Floyd's The Wall. I see faces, Jason began, and Lanny cut him off. The faces are hallucinations. The rest of this is real. Not wanting to accept this, Jason moved forward and toward the wall. He put his hand to it and discovered that it was solid, rough, and cold to the touch, in spite of the faces within, and the reality of the wall's solidity brought an unnatural feeling of claustrophobia that slowly closed in and around him, bringing an icy grip along for the ride. Jason realized suddenly that somehow, in some inexplicable way, he was cut off from the very world he once knew. This isn't possible, he said in wonder and disbelief. Possible or not, Lanny stated, it's something that we're going to have to accept so we can deal with it. But it isn't possible, Jason said again, as if with his mere words he could make the reality anything save that which it currently was. This is a bad trip. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. Jason heard whispers whirling around him, a multitude of voices speaking unintelligibly. Abstractly, he thought it might be the bioluminescent lichens. He felt very sad, and then he began to weep. I want to go home now. What are we going to do, guys? Brannon asked the group. Lanny answered, I'm not sure yet, but I think I have an idea. Will you guys help me up? The young men moved forward to assist her. Lanny discovered that she couldn't put her full weight on her leg. No surprise there. She would be limping for a couple of days, or so she suspected, and there goes the weekend. She wondered if her idea did work, how she would be swimming back to the house from the grotto. She supposed that she would need Jessie's help. Lanny looked at the intricate, ornate pedestal that was also a fiery brazier and studied the floating gem and the dancing flames of the fire within. She observed that the jewel was about the size of a silver dollar, burning and glowing cryptically. Chapter 11. With the help of the boys, Lanny slowly made her way over to the pedestal brazier. She limped and she gasped with every other step. "Lanny, what are you doing?" Jessie inquired, uncertain of her actions forthcoming. Lanny said nothing, but continued moving forward. She observed that, as she drew closer to the pedestal brazier, no heat emitted from the dancing flames. "Lanny?" She reached her arm out, trying to bring herself still closer to the flames. Abruptly, the gem within the fire leapt upward. It hovered in the air above the group, all eyes upon it. The glowing jewel gleamed ominously with its inner fire, like something alive, scrutinizing them. Chapter 12. Lanny cursed, "Oh shit!" even as the flames suddenly grew higher in the brazier. The boys weren't sure what to make of Lanny's exclamation. They were given little time to figure it out before the fiery jewel launched itself at the young woman. "Look out!" Browning cried in warning. The jewel hit Lanny square between the eyes with the force of a thrown baseball. She saw a splash of stars and was knocked off her feet. The boys still held her and prevented her from hitting the ground. Lanny wasn't given the luxury to rationalize what was going on before the jewel rebounded off her forehead and then found the palm of her right hand. In the next instant she felt a burning sensation that caused her to again grit her teeth. It was as if something was melting into her palm, fusing into it. She let out a squawk, and this time the boys were unable to keep her from hitting the ground. Lanny gained consciousness with the guys staring down at her. "What?" She looked up, meeting their gaze with mixed expressions. "Did it work?" she said blearily. She saw a flash of movement up on the nearby wall, and then she glanced over. A horrifying shriek almost escaped from her lips. She knew that what she was seeing was no hallucination. "Did what work, Lanny?" Jessie asked softly. "Wait, hush!" Lanny offered in warning. "Don't move," she whispered. Slowly, cautiously, she said, "Look up on the wall." The guys did. Their discovery almost made them void themselves. Up on the cavern wall, perhaps 20 feet from the ground, squatted one of the ghoulish humanoids, posed like a spider, eyes of crimson gleaming wickedly. It made a sound like an angry cat with a throat full of phlegm, hissing, and what one might consider to be either a warning or anticipation. There appeared another, moving on all fours with superb and fluid agility, followed by another that crawled up next to the first. They seemed to unlock their jaws as they opened their mouths, dropping them perhaps 3 inches below where their chins might be, and they displayed their teeth, their fangs, their long barbed tongues that moved in whip-like serpentine fashion. "Holy shit," Jessie declared. "Go for the grotto wall," Lanny instructed, whispering. "Now!" She looked at the pedestal brazier and saw that the gem no longer occupied the heart of the flames. As if in answer to her unspoken question, she could feel her palm still burning. "I'm not leaving you here," Jessie said, bending down to pick her up. This seemed to agitate the creatures on the wall, and they scuttled down about 6 feet. Jessie picked up Lanny in a cradle hold. "Hang on." Jason didn't wait for the explanation from anybody. As he thought he could once again see the grotto beyond the hazy veil, he ran, arms and hands out in front of him, toward the wall, and then through it, and one of the gravers followed, screeching as it scuttled and sprinted on all 4 limbs. It leapt off the wall, ran past Brandon, and followed Jason through the veil.